Hello, and welcome once again to the Spoke Lord Nashu. Well, today I'm talking about a subject I've been trying to talk about a few times. And frankly, it's all to do with frustration about how a relationship turned out, which isn't new for me, to be absolutely frank. I've had 5 or 6 relationships in my time, and I can say with certainty for each one, those were never going to work out. And I think back on them a lot of the time, just in that way, you're supposed to think back and learn something. And it's like, well, these didn't work out because I came into this relationship trying to play a role. And that is, well, the takeaway. It's that same thing I kind of mentioned before when I said you can't last on pretend. You can't come in and say, you know what, I'm just going to wear the mask you want me to wear, and eventually, surely, it's going to turn around and be a relationship that I want. Right? Still, I did that again and again and again. And as much as I can blame, like, my upbringing or the people around me for the reason that got ingrained, there comes a time where you have to stop and just say to yourself, hey, why do you keep doing this? And I had to really say to myself, hey, why do you keep doing this? Because while you don't have any history of success when it comes to things like this, you have plenty of failures that tell you exactly what you're supposed to look out for. In this particular situation, for example, I'm dating a guy who I don't really like, to be honest with you. This shouldn't have even been a relationship. I somehow swiped right, left, whichever one is the accepting one on a dating app, by complete and utter mistake. I recall the mistake happened because I thought to myself, well, I've swiped right or left, whatever, on people before and nothing has come of it, so it'll probably be fine. I'll swipe, and this person will not somehow come back. And I was wrong. He did. It's like, well, fuck. Well, here's a relationship opportunity now. I guess I can see if this is something I want to be in. And like, it was very clear to me very early on that it was not. I would say all it took was 3 dates, and actually probably 2. And if I was not in wear the mask mode, I would have said, oh no, none of this is what I want. But instead, I stayed. I wear the mask and said to myself, okay, well, I have to do this because that's what you are, quote unquote, supposed to do. And while I was doing what I was supposed to do, I was just in this situation this entire time where I'm like, damn, this sucks. I come here after work and I'm stuck with somebody I don't get along with. I come here after work and do stuff that I don't really want to do. This person is so incurious about the person they're dating that they don't ask any questions. They're not curious about what's going on. All they really that really matters to them is that they are in a relationship. And I'm like, well, not interested in that whatsoever. There is nothing in this situation for me. And I'm just staying here because I'm too kind to walk away. While I'm being too kind, though, that other person is being, and this isn't just my previous ex, but all of them, yeah, Where were we going with that thought? Well, I'm being too kind to just walk away. This other person is like, well, no, this is going to work. I'm going to try and guilt and shame and do all of this and that and so forth that stops you from ever thinking to yourself, maybe I should just leave. And like down to those last moments where like, oh no, I am just going to leave. And then, especially for the ex before last, it's very much like, oh, well, now I'm just going to be mean to you. And it's like, well, if you were always holding that in this entire time, then why did you want to pretend like this relationship was going to work in the first place? Why were you still around if this is what you were holding in? Why were we staying in this situation where neither of us actually liked each other? I would ask that question, not to them, but after the fact. And like, well, I know why I did it, but I don't know why they did. And to be frank, I honestly got caught up in trying to figure out why they did it, more so than thinking about what I needed to learn from that situation. Because what I learned was basically like, stop lying to myself, ultimately. Stop telling myself that I have to be this for this person or that for this person. Because ultimately, when I walk away after this fact, I'm not going to think, yeah, I was really happy spending all that time with somebody I absolutely despise. I was really happy not being myself around their friends or their family because the only story they really told was the one that makes them look good. And I'm not really interested in being a part of that. Still, I stayed. And the only real thought that filled my mind at those times was just like, I need this to be over. I'm not comfortable here. I can't even pretend like I am. So I need this to be over, and I'm waiting for the other person to say, okay, well, I should move on. It's like, yes, you really should move on. But the only time, no, not even the only time, neither of those times between the previous act and the one before that was it a situation where they said to themselves, okay, I should move on. And I think the one before that as well was like, okay, what I'm seeing now, because I'm stepping out of this relationship, I'm dissociating away from this bond I'm supposed to be having. What I see now is performance. What I see now is public faces. You want to look like you're still in a relationship, but inside the relationship, you are betraying the confidence, the trust, the dignity of your partner. You're running off to do what you feel more comfortable doing, but not saying to yourself, wait, why am I holding on to this person I don't want to spend time with? What do I hope to get out of it? And I couldn't tell you for my last, well, no, I actually could tell you for my last sex. It was very much about being able to find somebody they can dress up to be the person they want to date, build into the person they want to. What? I don't know that. I know the charger is not plugged in either way. Um, build the person he's dating into the person he really wants on his arm. Whereas the one before that was like, are you just looking for somebody who will take care of you? You're doing this. You were clearly not meant to be. And at the end of the day, you are overriding the autonomy of the person you're dating and expecting them to be all right with the script you're handing over. So my ex, the last one. Oh shit, both of them. All of them had that thing they did where they would, goodness gracious, where they would hand me a script I'm supposed to follow. It's like I'm looking at it like, you want this to be my line to make yourself feel good, but you're not like actually asking me what I feel in the situation. And I'm doing that stupid thing. No, let's rephrase that. I'm doing that incorrect thing. I do a lot of the times where I am people pleasing. That's the only way you can put it. I am people pleasing. I'm figuring out what you need to hear to make this comfortable for you. And you're getting that out of this. You're getting those comforting words. You're getting those sense that you don't have to have any sort of emotional responsibility. You're getting that, and yeah, you're going to say both this previous one and the one before that. This relationship is easy, and that should raise red flags for you because when outside of rom com, then even then is a relationship easy? When outside of people pleasing, do you ever have the situation where you're with a person who is completely agreeable? When are you dating someone real when things are easy? Because they're not. Because you're going to bump up against people and you're going to see that they have bad qualities just as much as anybody else. In a healthy relationship, both platonic and romantic, familial as well, while we're at it, it's like you recognize that somebody has a bad trait. And you ask yourself, am I happy enough with the positives of this person to be alright with these negative traits? And you're supposed to constantly ask yourself that because you also got to keep maybe not a consistent ledger, but you have to remain aware of the fact that people have their bad moments. And you have to remain aware of whether or not those bad moments are going to define them or something along those lines. Yes, define them because they're going to keep. The more you allow somebody, the more rope you give somebody to get away with being malicious and still be attached to you, the more they're going to take. They're going to pull that rope until it is strained and think to themselves they'll sooner anchor you in place than make you snap it. They never see the snapping coming somehow. Where I look at it, it's like, well, physics, there's always a breaking point. But no, this X and the last X, you're not people I want to be with. You're not people I really enjoy talking to. And when I view the relationship from your side, it's very clearly the same sort of situation. So it's like, what exactly is going on here? In this frame, I see the books on my shelf behind me, and it reminds me of a secret Santa thing my ex did with his friends and I, where he got a bunch of Brandon Sanderson books. And they're like, oh, this is the first time I've seen any indication that you actually read. Let me try to connect with you on that. It's like, okay, so tell me, what made you get these books? What made you interested in Sanderson? So on and so forth, like that. And the best I could get was that he likes fantasy, but it's like, okay, but do you like Sandersonian fantasy or do you prefer Tolkienian fantasy? Which you have to understand these two aren't interchangeable. Well, they might be actually. I've only ever read the Mistborn series, but no, I read Atlantis too. The first book. Didn't really care for it. Regardless, the point is that, well, these things aren't just blanket fantasy. There is texture to this. There is identity to this. And here is the first chance we should have to sit down and talk about this together. But instead, you're pushing and pushing and pushing away from the conversation. This is a moment where we could actually hypothetically connect, and you're pushing away from it. You don't want to discuss it. You're trying, if anything, to avoid. And it's like, what here are you trying to avoid? What here are you trying to not bring into mind? Why are you running away from talking about books? And maybe ultimately it's because he really didn't have anything to say. And that's pretty damn likely considering that's the type of thing that should have ended the relationship in the first place. On the third date, it was either third or the second, we went to a Ghibli screening marathon. You know the thing the movie theaters do when it's that season of the year. We went to see Kiki's Delivery Service, and this is the first time I saw that movie in a long time. I first saw it one Saturday afternoon while it was airing on UPN, interspersed with commercials. It's just like, huh, interesting. At that point, I didn't know to call it anime, but I had never seen anime on that late on a Saturday. So I watched a bit of it, and I wasn't old enough to really appreciate all the elements of it. So seeing it again was fascinating, especially seeing how Miyazaki apparently grieves a friend of his who he worked on Kiki with. So like I'm in there, I'm feeling this movie, I'm about this movie, and we go out to eat afterwards, and he has nothing to say. He has to Google reviews and so on and so forth like that. It's like, okay, you're not the type of person who can articulate your thoughts, but I don't want to date a parrot. I don't want to date a person who's just reciting back to me what somebody else said. So, like, I should have known at that moment, damn, this is not what I wanted. But instead, I ignored how it made me feel. And that, again, when it comes to giving a person a rope, that kept going on. I want to discuss a movie we go and see, and it's like, no, we're gonna push past that and do what I want. It's like, in that case, I don't want to go see movies with you. And it's like, well, that's telling. You get to a point where you're dating somebody and it's like, oh, I don't want to see movies with this person. Like, oh, then why do you want to keep that person in your life? It's like you say something to yourself like, well, I wouldn't mind it if they would just do this and they would just do that. And I'm like, okay, so basically they have to perform for you, for them, for you to be all right with being in a movie theater with them. And it's like, okay, so one person in the relationship is doing all of the work now. You are holding on to them. You're saying to yourself, I don't want to something or so forth. And where you going with a thought? And they're overworking themselves. They're the ones putting in the work for the relationship because they're not saying to themselves, I'm not saying to myself, damn, I don't actually like this person. I don't actually want to be around this person. Why am I did get to that eventually. Why am I still in this relationship with this person? And the only answer is just I don't want to feel bad, which is not a reason to stay in a relationship. It isn't even I don't want this person to feel rejected. It is basically I don't want to feel bad. And anytime it feels like it can make me, he leaps onto it. And it just makes the relationship easier and easier to leave. It's funny how the last date was also a movie one, and also one of those moments where it's like, oh no, this isn't the person I want to go to the movies with. This is the person who's going to try and pretend to be what I want, but I don't want pretend. I want somebody I'm actually compatible with, somebody who I go to the movies with, and I share my thoughts, and they share their thoughts, and some form of chemistry is happening here. In this situation, it's inert chemistry. Is two things mixing that has no reaction, and we're supposed to say, well, the color changed a little bit, and pretend like that's all it takes. Oh, that's what that pick is. The other one I was using, not the one I currently have now. Where was I going with that thought? A little close, aren't we? Yes. I'm thinking to myself, I've stayed here for a long time, and there's no real merit in it. I have stayed here for a long time, and this person is showing me with in no uncertain terms that this is what the relationship is going to be going forward. And it was actually the previous one, not last year, but the one several years ago that made me go, damn, I would never. This is the first time I realized this. I would never like this person. This would go on and on and on and on forever, and at no point would it actually be that I like this person. They can't fathom that, and I can, and here I am pretending like it's actually the other side around. I know I will not like this person, right? And it's just like, damn, so why am I still here? Like, well, you have to say, like, who is saying that? Why is it even in me? This idea that I have to stay because I know that the last one, the previous one, no, one more time, the ex before last isn't going to become a person I want to be around. Anytime it's time to change, the first thing they do is go to guilt tripping. And it's like, okay, I see. Okay, I see. Each and every time. Ooh, okay, I see. It's like, and you're also being selfish. Oh, like, oh, well, just, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Here's an excuse for why I am, what you call it, blast. Oh, inconsiderate. That's the word I'm looking for. Here's some language that basically means I don't have to do anything so long as I say that you have to do anything. It's like compromise. Oh, you're supposed to compromise in a relationship. That line is specifically for you. What are you compromising on that you think that this is working out? Of course, you got to remember those sort of people who convince themselves that they are compromising on something. God's above. I had to get another Lawson because that cough it hit me by surprise. But like, these are the type of people who are telling themselves, "Oh no, I don't have to compromise. I'm already doing it. I'm doing it right here, right now." And it is the smallest thing that only they can see, but they'll go around and point out and say, "Look, look, look, look! I did this for them, so they have to." Like, so I'm with a person who clearly isn't mature enough for a relationship. I'm just going along accepting the immaturity because what? I'm supposed to stay here? Like, no. Eventually, it's just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. This is actually garbage for me. I am done. I haven't found somebody else. I'm not dating a new person. I am here and then I am gone. And I'm gone. And that's what I got with the last relationship. Well, yeah, once again went to see a movie and once again had nothing to say about it. I noticed at the time that he was trying to pretend to be what I would want a person who was watching the movie trying to put on the roles. Like, no, I'm not looking for an actor. Also, your acting is terrible. This performance was completely unbelievable. I would rate you a 3 out of 10 at best. But no, it's also just like, If you have to pretend all the time, then the relationship isn't going to work out. Mm. If you can never be yourself when you're around that person, then it's never going to work out. And frankly, I couldn't be myself around that person, or the person before that, or the person before that, or the person before that, because I realized who they really were was not anything like the person I really am is. And I just think about it sometimes like, well, damn, you would have known that if you were being yourself from the start. You would have known that if you were just acting as you. No thought, no measurement of how other people are going to take it. Just be you and see where it goes. God above my allergies. Ugh. Where were we going? Yeah, because you're just being yourself, then there's no surprise when things don't work out. If you're just being yourself, you're not shook when this person uh, doesn't like something about you. You know from the jump. And there's no reason you have to say otherwise. You can have gum. Focus. You can walk away knowing that you didn't betray yourself for something that would never feed you. And any feeling of rejection or what's the word undesirability sort of just fades away because like yeah, you don't want to be desired by somebody who doesn't desire you. There's nothing interesting about that. And you can't convince me otherwise, you know. Mm. You can't convince me otherwise, you know. I have watched. I've stayed at the back and like, no, this person isn't happy here. I can tell. I can tell because they're not being quiet about their unhappiness. So they're not happy. And we're going to see tons of data about why, like divorce rates, like dysfunctional households that tell you why these relationships aren't working. You're going to see plenty of information that tells you this shit could just be fucked up. What do I need to do? Huh? The ADHD is in high volume today. Uh, you have no delusions. And when I think about it, it's like that's what I want out of a relationship. No delusions. I walk in as Lord Nashu, and at every juncture, every interaction, every moment is always a question of yes. But what does Lord Nashu have to say on this matter? Like, well, no, you made the mistake of inviting the true person in, and well, he always has something to say on the matter. He just doesn't know how to say it without making people feel small. And such is the nature of Lord Nashu. And well, thus he spoke now. Because if he's not the one speaking in the relationship, then who are you actually dating? A question to sit on for all my previous partners if ever they stumble upon this video. And for everybody else, well, mostly. I would be delighted if you were to join me once again.